Hello, Randy here again. We are on to part 2 of our hero's journey from the now into the Age of Omniscience. So part 2 is the call to adventure. It is the impetus which moves you out of the status quo, your ordinary world, into this grand adventure. And so perhaps you have been in your status quo, working the 9 to 5 or doing the chores, and you're feeling completely uninspired, and you know there's something bigger and greater within you. And so the impetus sometimes can feel like chaos. It can feel like losing that job, or it can feel like losing that home, or it can feel like a sickness or a death in the family or with your friends, or something that we generally consider to be negative. And that propels you to change and to continue on in your journey. It doesn't always have to be negative. For me and my example of learning to channel, beginning to channel, it was quite positive. And I spent some time feeling this huge work was within me, but I didn't know how to access it. I didn't understand what it was. And I just continued doing those things which inspired me, which then when I sat down and had a quiet moment, I began with the pendulum swinging, and that changed my life entirely. So sometimes the call to adventure comes when you least expect it, and sometimes that's because you are propelled into a state of chaos, and you must then emerge from it and continue on your journey. So let's hear from our guides to see what their comments are as they are already focused in the Age of Omniscience. Greetings to you all. We are here again as our Omniscience, or Om. We are speaking on this call to adventure because it is the reason why you are watching this video in the first place. It is that in which you may consider to be a negative or positive thing in your life, or simply a thing in your life, which has propelled you to look for that which is more. You are receiving a Jiminy Cricket whispering in your ear, or you are receiving intuitive hits to change, to propel yourself out of this status quo. Or perhaps if the Jiminy Cricket is less subtle, then it will be that thing in which physically propels you to change. And we would say to you that it depends on your frequency. If it is a large and dramatic call to adventure, such as a death, or such as a complete hitting of what you might define as rock bottom, then that means you probably were in a frequency that is denser, in a sense that when we speak of the density of frequency, we are speaking of that which is a little bit more concentrated in vibration. So if we're speaking of a linear concept for a moment, just in order to demonstrate this, then we would say, looking at it linearly, that the physical world exists at a density, a more condensed frequency that provides the illusion that we are real, that provides the solid grounding and the solidity of you in your solid world. And if we go on that linear scale to something that is less dense, then you are talking more about non-physical energies. Then you are talking more about that version of you which sat on the cloud and decided to come down into the denser frequency. So whether we are going out and coming into density, or going up and coming into density, this is a little bit of a linear or hierarchical representation of what that is, because you all are existing in a dual universe, in the sense that there is an A and a B, an A and a Z, a start and a finish. So your call to adventure is telling you that you want to lighten in frequency, and it depends on your frequency as to whether that is really dramatic, or as to whether you have already been lightening in your life and you are simply coming to that plateau. What is beyond Z? What is beyond the clouds? And you are coming up into that place which is asking you to evaluate your world and realize that you are so much more than your world, and you are looking in and realizing that the external conditions of your world come from your inner sight and inner vision. So when you are called to adventure, realize that you have been calling yourself from those elevated frequencies, from those frequencies that are less dense than your own, that you are the adventure, you are the realized adventure, and realize that even though this impetus may seem negative or it may seem completely inspiring, realize that it is you from that finished place. So look at those areas in your life as you are finding this call to adventure that are multidimensional, that are you from that higher perspective, because that is truly what is happening. Enjoy your adventure, for you are being completely called from you at the finish line. Don't forget, you are the hero. You chose this journey. You.